In this week's video, I want to talk all about common portrait mistakes and how you can fix them. Welcome to the Photo Genius channel. This video is kindly sponsored by NordVPN. Hi, Paul here from Photo Genius. Welcome to my channel where I post regular photography tutorials, all designed to help you get more from your digital camera so you can take better photos. If you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. As you can see, today we're in the studio, we're doing some portrait photography with the lovely Georgia, and we are in a studio called Brilliant White, which is here in the heart of Brisbane. Many thanks to Susan from the Brilliant White studio and Brisbane Camera Hire for letting us use this space. In this video, I want to talk about common portrait mistakes that people make and how to fix them. Enjoy the video. So to kick things off, one of the most common problems I see are portrait photos where the eyes of the subject aren't sharp. It's really important to make sure the eyes of your subject are in focus, and for that reason you need to learn how to control your camera's focus points. If you don't and you leave it up to the camera will focus on what it thinks the subject is, and this can be really frustrating. Let me show you. Now this image may look sharp, but if we zoom in, you will see that Georgia's eyes are actually just out of focus. Now look very carefully, however, and you will see that her ears and earrings are pin sharp. So on this occasion, I've misfocused, and as a result, you don't get that same level of engagement. Remember, the eyes are the windows to the soul. So being able to control your camera's focus points is, in my opinion, one of the most important things you can learn when it comes to taking control of your camera. To select focus points on a Canon camera, look for a button marked with this symbol. Simply press the button, then turn the dial on the top of the camera to select the focus point you wish to use. If you're using a Nikon camera, firstly locate and press the I button. Then choose AF area mode from the options, then select single point autofocus. You can now easily select individual focus points simply by using the multi-selector on the back of the camera. So as you can see, learning how to control the focus points is incredibly important for whatever type of photography you like to do, not just portrait photography. If you'd like to learn more, I've made separate videos all about controlling focus points. I'll put a link up here so you can check it out later. Now, another common problem that I often see is people not using the right focus mode. Aside from manual focus, if you're using autofocus, which I would recommend, there are two focus modes, and it's important to use the correct one. One is designed for non-moving subjects and the other for moving subjects. Let me show you how this works. If your subject is not moving, the default focus mode AFS is ideal. This is called one shot if you're using a Canon camera. The problem with this mode is if the subject is moving. As you can see here, Georgia goes out of focus the moment she moves closer to the camera. So if the distance between camera and subject is likely to change, select the autofocus continuous mode, which on a Canon camera is called AI Servo. This will fix the problem and is also great for sports and wildlife. A top tip here is to make sure you keep the shutter button pressed halfway down or the autofocus will not work. Now before I share the next tip, I just want to tell you all about our video sponsor NordVPN. A VPN is a service that protects you, your data and your privacy online by encrypting your internet traffic and hiding your IP address. For me, this can be particularly useful as I'm often working on location using my mobile phone or public Wi-Fi to stay connected. NordVPN have a network of over 500 servers in 60 countries, so using the app I can easily select any server I like in any location. This is really cool if you want to watch content that isn't available in your country. So I've been using NordVPN personally myself for some time, and I really love the peace of mind knowing that my data, both business and personal, is safe and secure, no matter what device I'm on or wherever I am. So why not give it a go for yourself? Use the link below this video to get a 2-year plan plus 1 additional month with a huge discount. Plus it's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. To find out more, simply click on the link below this video and don't forget to use the promo code PHOTOGENIUS. Another very common problem is not knowing which lens to use to get the best results. The focal length of the lens you're using will have a big impact on the look and feel of the portrait, and in particular the shape of the face. Let me show you. Lenses are defined by their focal length, which is simply a measurement. Now, whilst you can get lenses that have a fixed focal length like the popular Nifty 50, most likely your lens or lenses have a variable focal length, which simply means you can adjust the lens to zoom in or zoom out. For example, this lens can be adjusted from 18 to 55mm simply by turning what is called the zoom ring on the lens. Lenses with lower numbers are called wide-angle lenses. Most regard the standard focal length to be around 50mm, and lenses that have a much longer focal length are called telephoto lenses. Now let's see how different focal lengths can affect the shape of the face. This first image was shot with a focal length of 24mm. This is wide. As you can see, this creates an unnatural, distorted look. We see a slight improvement with the second image, which was shot at 40mm, but for me, it's this image that looks the best, taken at a focal length of 85mm. So a top tip is, if you have a telephoto lens, don't just save it for sports and wildlife photography, as a longer focal length can give you a really great and natural looking portrait. So if you're taking portrait photos and all you've got is a standard kit lens, don't worry, because you can still get some great results. Just make sure you set the focal length to 55mm for a much more natural looking portrait. The next common problem I often see is using a shutter speed that's too slow, and this can result in blurry images. This can happen in two ways. If you're hand holding the camera and your shutter speed is too slow, then your image may blur simply because you're moving the camera and you're not holding it steady. Now, the other way this can be a problem is if you're holding the camera steady, or like me today, you're using a tripod, but your subject is moving and they blur. Let me tell you more. As you can see, this image of Georgia is blurry. This is a combination of camera movement, subject movement, and the shutter speed being too slow. To stop camera shake being a problem, a good rule of thumb is to multiply the focal length of the lens by the crop factor of the camera you're using to get a minimum shutter speed. Then you simply ensure that the shutter speed you're using either matches or is faster. And because this is important and worth understanding, I definitely recommend checking out this video next, which goes into more detail, and you'll find a link in the description below. Of course, the best way to eliminate camera movement is to use a tripod, but if you want to work handheld, then I recommend using a shutter speed of around 100 to 160th of a second if you're shooting using studio flash. And if possible, go higher or faster if taking photos outside and the light allows. Earlier on in the video, I talked about using the right focal length to get the best results. Now I want to talk about aperture. Today I'm shooting with an 85mm prime lens, and the maximum aperture on this lens is f1.8. You may have a similar lens, like for example the Nifty 50, which again usually opens up to about f1.8. Now, a common mistake I think is people buy these prime lenses and just feel that they have to shoot with the aperture wide open just because they can. And sure, I love a blurry background like the next person, but you may find that you get better results just by closing the aperture down a touch. So just because you have a lens that opens to f1.8 or maybe 1.4 or even 1.2, you may find you get better results at f2, 2.8. Today, for example, I've been shooting mostly around f8 to f9. It's given me some fantastic results and the images are super sharp. So again, a common mistake, just because you've got a lens that has a super wide aperture, you don't have to use it. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video all about common portrait photography mistakes and how to fix them. It's certainly been a lot of fun making this video. Big thanks to Georgia, our amazing model, and to Susan for allowing us to use this amazing space today. Now, if you've enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a thumbs up because it does help the videos get noticed. That helps the channel grow. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. I try to put out new videos every single week. All that's left to do is to say thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you again sometime soon. See ya. Bye.